Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for stopping by Casks-n-Que, where whiskey and barbecue meet. I'm your host, Justin Lloyd, and today I have with me a special guest, one of my very best friends, Quentin May. We are reviewing Blackened today, and it's coming at you right now. All right, guys, we're back. Thanks for sticking around. Hey, if you don't mind, before we get into this thing, go ahead and like, subscribe, and smash that bell. Helps this channel out a lot, and I certainly appreciate it. So Blackened is a collaboration between Metallica and Dave Pickerell. He's a famous distiller who has since passed away, but he's the inventor of Whistle Pig. He was once the head distiller over at Maker's Mark, wasn't it?
He was at Maker's Mark, and he's kind of fondly known as the father of craft distilling. And he's, after he left Maker's Mark, he did Whistle Pig, a bunch of other ones, even down to Garrison Brothers in Texas, apparently.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. So
he's the mastermind behind the Balmoral,
okay,
which is the Garrison Brothers flagship. Which, if you've not had it and you ever get a chance to, it's extremely expensive, but it's worth every penny.
Okay, good to know. I haven't. Is that the one we tried?
It's the one we tried. Our buddy had the bottle, and we tried. It's dark, almost like coffee. It's called Balmoral. It's fantastic,
delicious. And I'm kind of a snob when it comes to whiskey that's not from Kentucky, but that one was badass.
Yep.
So we kind of want to get into this one. The first thing that stands out about this bottle to me is, if you call that a sound wave, I'm not sure what you call that in the music industry. He's kind of a rock and roll guy, so.
Well, so one thing, and kind of, researching this a little bit, one thing that I found interesting, and it is that, and I haven't tried this, I've never had it before in my life, and I'll be honest with you, my expectations going into it are kind of low, and that's because most of the time when you see some type of celebrity act, team up and do something like this, it's a money grab, publicity
You've
deal.
Seen actors, athletes.
Yeah, a lot of them.
Even politicians.
But that's not to say that they're all bad.
Right.
Honestly, the Bradshaw whiskey I didn't like, but then turn around the Heaven's Door one I thought was the Bob Dylan was fantastic. So learn a little bit about this. Obviously some things that concern me is it's a blend of American whiskeys. They don't tell you what, so we don't know what's in it. There's no age statement. There's no disclosure of the mass bill. So we're kind of going in blind here. We don't know what to expect. And but one thing that they tell you is that in the aging process, what they do is they subject it to low frequency sound waves in the maturing process, which, according to them, imparts more of the flavor and character of the wood into the juice. And what they do when they say low signal sound wave, and this comes from the website, is they basically play Metallica music to the barrels while it's aging.
So, but the barrel is a brandy barrel.
It's a black brandy barrel, which is actually kind of a rare barrel. My big question though is, do they play old Metallica, which is where I'm from, or do they play that wheat new Metallica?
Are they doing the whiskey?
If it's post 2004 Metallica, the whiskey is going to be terrible. But if it's 1980s Metallica, then
if we get a little sanitarium in there, then maybe we can talk.
For whom the bell tolls,
For whom the bell tolls. That's awesome. So why don't we get into this thing? Q, I'm going to let you do the pour. We're going to do our little close-up shot thingy that we always do. We're also going to give you a little bit of the backside of this thing, because it's cool once you look through the whiskey. The sound wave looks a little bit different than what it does on the front of the bottle.
It's really cool on the back once you look through it there.
Yeah.
And what it says is Blackened, a bold collaboration of the finest hand-selected whiskeys, an unrivaled composition of craft and creativity, born in cask, forged in sound.
Yep.
Well, I'm not real sure what the science behind forged in sound is, but we're going to find out right now.
Hey, thanks for pouring that for us, Quentin. Looking forward to getting into this one. I think one of the questions that you were talking about off camera is, what version of Metallica are we talking about here?
Well, yeah. So the big deal here is they've blasted Metallica music to these barrels to release the flavor and characteristics of the wood. Well, my question is, which era Metallica are we talking about? We're talking about post '94 Metallica, which is, or are we talking about 1980s Metallica, for whom the bell tolls?
Yes.
Master. Yeah, that's what I want to know. Because at some point, any true Metallica fan, they know where the split is.
That's right. That's right. So we talked about where this whiskey may come from. We don't really know. It's a no-age statement. They don't disclose where the whiskey is made, where it's sourced from, anything. There's some preconceived notions that maybe it's Dickel mixed with something from Indiana, which was probably MGP, but I don't want to throw that out there because we don't know.
What we do know, however, is if you can read right here, it says remastered by Dave Pickerell. Dave Pickerell is honestly he's a legend in the distilling world. He, cut his teeth at Maker's Mark, was a master distiller there for years, and when he left, he kind of became known as the father of craft distilling. He has been involved in a number of different projects, but a couple of the big ones were Whistle Pig was kind of his baby, and which is a rye distillery of everything that makes us fantastic, all the way down to down at the Texas distillery, Garrison Brothers, which makes the Balmoral, which is one of the most absolute greatest whiskeys I've ever tried, which we got to try with the buddy of ours.
Yep.
So anything, even though I mentioned earlier my expectations going into this were low due to it being a kind of a gimmick whiskey, the fact that Dave Pickerell is involved in it gives me some hope that this is going to be really good.
Agreed. So why don't we just go to the nose on this thing and see what we think?
Man, it burns.
There's a little burn there.
I don't know, man.
I get a little bit of the darker berry flavors. You gotta get past the alcohol burn.
This one, I don't know, the nose on it's not very pleasant. It burns right off the top. But underneath it, yeah, maybe a little dark berry, but maybe some non-citrus fruit, the apricot, a little honey maybe.
I could see honey.
But boy, you can't get too big.
There's almost a sulfur.
It'll burn your nose hairs out.
Yeah, there's also a sulfur note in there.
There's something on the nose that's not good.
That's not good. Yeah,
I'm not sure about.
I would say like almost like musty kind of thing going.
Well, I mean, yeah, it just hurts. Kind of, it's not pleasant.
Hurts. Let's go to the palate and see what we think.
I'm going to be honest, that does not match the palate. After the caustic nature of the nose, it doesn't match the nose. Well, after the caustic nature of the nose, I was not expecting this to be very good. And it's actually not bad. It's actually pretty smooth.
A lot of the berry flavors come forward for me. I think there's some rye in there, but it doesn't back you away like that rye spice.
No, there's a little bit of pepper on maybe the back end, just on the finish.
But I think that helps the finish linger a little bit more almost.
Well, but the finish is not very long. It's pretty quick. It's rather abrupt, and it's a little bit of red fruit.
But I guess my point is like that.
And that black pepper a little bit, but it's not bad.
That helps it stay.
I'll be honest.
Otherwise, it'd be very, very fast.
I'll be perfectly honest. I came into it with low expectations. The nose did not help that one bit because it was not good. The whiskey itself is actually pretty good. It is the juice itself has exceeded my expectations.
I agree.
And now keep in mind it's only 90 proof. But the nose itself does not represent a 90 proof. It's way hotter than that, but the juice itself is very mellow, very smooth. There's nothing of that caustic flavor that comes across on the nose.
Right.
I've been actually pleasantly surprised by the juice itself.
I am too.
This is okay.
It's okay. All gimmicks aside, it's hard to say whether I would go out and buy this if it didn't have the Metallica backing.
Well, and that's something that we probably ought to mention is retail at your local store. You probably ought to find this for what, $45, $50. Now I've seen it pretty readily available. I don't know that that's hard to find.
And that's something I need to. I don't mean to interrupt, but that's something I need to mention is that this bottle was lended to us by Parkway Liquor in Benton, Arkansas. So I just wanted to mention, if you're in the Central Arkansas area, then stop by Parkway Liquor. They always have good pricing. They always have a good selection, and they're very fair.
And honestly, some of the best store picks I've ever got is from Parkway.
Yeah,
they always seem to have really good store picks. I think I got a Bullet single barrel store pick there one time that was fantastic.
Yeah, I love Bullet. I do too. So we'll put a card right there for J.C. Clements. He's the owner. Go see him. Tell him I sent you. You probably won't get a discount, but you're in good company. So in closing, we typically give a rating, 1 to 5. 1 being not so great, 5 being pretty damn good. We consider taste, value, and availability. So if you had to pick, not to put you on the spot.
Well, so if I'm thinking about this whiskey from taste, value, availability. Availability is obviously we're at the top of the scale. It's always wherever you can find it. Yeah, value is kind of a function of taste, honestly. Taste, like I mentioned earlier, going into this, I was not expecting a lot. The nose was not impressive. The whiskey exceeded my expectations. Maybe even with maybe just one little cube of ice in there, might even open up a little more. That might be something we try after the show. I don't know, but I was pleasantly surprised by the juice. I did not expect it to be that good. So value at a $50 bottle. Let's be honest. Are there bottles that I could get for $50 that I like better? Absolutely. Yeah. But at $50, is this a bad value? No, it's not. It's actually a pretty decent bottle. And to the point that there are supposed to be some new releases in the line. They've got a single barrel rye that's supposed to be coming out, or at least a rye, a dedicated rye, and then some other ones. I would be interested in trying these based on what I learned here.
I would too.
So if I'm going to give it that rating, I'd probably be at around a 3.5. I'm definitely better than a 3, but maybe not quite to a 4. Maybe if you twisted my arm, a 3.7, but that's roughly where it's not a 4 to me, mainly because of the value issue to me. The taste is okay, but the value issues to me, I can get a whiskey that I think is just as good for $30, and I can get a much better whiskey for $50. That's where I think maybe the hiccup is, but I'd put it around 3.5.
I can see that for sure. I think that's very fair. I'm maybe a little bit lower. I'm probably in the 3 range, 2.75, 3, somewhere in there. The only reason is the nose really, the nose to me is just off-putting almost. And to me, that's a very important part of a whiskey, the expression. Individual expressions of whiskey is the nose.
It's really weird because a lot of times when we drink whiskeys together, we try the first time, the nose is going to give you some kind of, indication or foreshadowing of what to expect on the palate, and this is not it. The palate's totally different from the nose.
It's almost like it's a different whiskey.
That's really weird. That's honestly, that's just strange. But
and that's one of the reasons I give it a little bit lower rating. A little bit of confusion there.
That's fair.
Yeah, I don't hate it. At $50, I wouldn't go out and seek it because, like Quentin said, there's other $50 bottles that I think are much better. The novelty of it, I love Metallica. Would I collect other series? If they do Blackened, they may do something. Other albums. Who knows? I don't know what they're going to do.
And the question. It's funny. I mentioned earlier that it says on the back, born in cask, forged in sound. Well, what's the science behind forged in sound?
Right.
And the reality is we don't know.
Did we mention that it was a black brandy cask?
Oh, and it's aged in a black brandy cask, which is actually a pretty rare cask.
Finished, I think.
Well, it just
or
says,
does it say aged? I think they finished it in a blackberry cask. It may not be on the contract on the bottle.
Just says finished in black brandy cask. So that's where we're going to probably where your red fruits come from.
Yeah.
But the reality is, you know, what does the sonic manipulation of the wood, you know, playing the Metallica in the warehouse, does it really affect the whiskey? Who knows, right?
I'd like to think it does.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a huge Metallica fan, yeah, this is a great novelty item. It's cool. But it kind of reminds me of the Jefferson's Ocean, you know, where they're like, oh, we manipulated this barrel of whiskey around the ocean and it went across. And hey, that's cool to think, you know, it's a neat concept and it went across the equator a few times. But
and then you buy it for $60.
Well, $70 or so. But does it really make it a better whiskey?
That's kind of where we come out on this thing. Certainly appreciate you guys for watching. If you don't mind, if you like what we're doing here at Casks-n-Que, go ahead and like, subscribe, and smash that bell. Other than that, we're going to sign off. I'm Justin.
Quentin May.
And we will see you next time.